This BuzzFeed story is getting a lot of buzz, pun intended, and it's about Michael Cohen he's claiming, reportedly, that Michael Cohen's claiming as the president's attorney, he was instructed to lie to Congress after the president became president about the Moscow Tower project. What's your reaction to that?
This is according to BuzzFeed, by the way.
Listen, I agree with Rudy Giuliani. Anybody who would believe Michael Cohen, Rudy would like to meet with you, offer you a chance to buy the Brooklyn Bridge. This is an absurdity. Look, the news media will take any possible negative about Trump and maximize it, whether it's true or not, because it fits their bias and the degree to which they dislike Trump. But this is an absurdity. I mean, can you imagine any president of the United States being dumb enough to say to somebody, I'd like you to go over now and lie to Congress? It's crazy, and only the modern liberal media would even give it any credit.
Well, we'll find out what the law enforcement officials say. They say have two former law enforcement officials that can verify. They say there are text messages and emails. That would change it if that was true, right?
Well, text messages from who?
Right. And who are these law enforcement people?
Is it from Trump, or is it Cohen being wildly delusional?
And Newt, when you look, this is from BuzzFeed. BuzzFeed, you know, let's hop in the Wayback Machine. BuzzFeed is who actually published the unverified dossier in its entirety, I believe.
Sure, but that's what BuzzFeed does. I mean, BuzzFeed is the equivalent of those tabloids you buy at the grocery store on the way out that introduce you to Martians and tell you the story of 3 stars who had anguished lives that you never knew about. But I mean, to take BuzzFeed seriously,
I got to read about that.
You know, I mean, to take BuzzFeed seriously is a sign of how desperate we are for news.
So you're not denying that, or you don't doubt that Michael Cohen said this to these investigators, but whether or not it's true is what you're doubting, right?
Michael Cohen was interviewed for 70 hours. I mean, in 70 hours' time, he could have said anything. Because he was trying to please the investigators.
Right.
You know, he was desperately trying to avoid jail. So I think he would have said, if you told him the sky is orange and the earth is purple, he'd have said, yes, sir, that's exactly right. I've always thought that myself.
If there is paperwork to back up what he says and other sources to back up what he says, what is the degree of trouble the president would be in?
Look what you just did. You now have me out talking about a hypothetical of whether or not the president might be in trouble if a nutcake who's routinely lying might have, in fact, what kind of paperwork? Paperwork from Trump or paperwork from Cohen? Well, paperwork from Cohen is as useless as Cohen's own words.
Well, you know what's interesting about this story, you know, BuzzFeed's hanging it on these 2 unnamed law enforcement personnel. Apparently, the reporter never actually saw with his own 2 eyes, according to what he told another network this morning, never saw that material himself. So he's taking it on whoever he talked to as, yep, I'm telling you the truth, buddy, this is it.
But look, I don't blame BuzzFeed. Look at the New York Times does this all the time. The New York Times had a story last week about Trump was a Russian agent, is the huge headline. When you get to paragraph 9, they say, you know, there's actually no factual evidence of any kind that this is true. But they managed to get a big headline and a long story, all of it from unnamed FBI sources. So if the New York Times can take trivia and trash and turn it into a page 1 story, why can't BuzzFeed?
So
I mean, BuzzFeed's just in the great tradition of the New York Times.
Oh, I don't think the FBI would ever do that.
Well, hey, Newt, in particular, yesterday was one of the great political jiu-jitsu moves I've ever seen, where the president 2 days ago was caught by surprise, perhaps, and went silent when he was basically disinvited to give the State of the Union address. The president didn't respond. When he got word, according to the White House, that they were about to take off on a military aircraft to go to what they thought was Egypt, Brussels, and then Afghanistan, he immediately turned the bus around and stopped the plane and said, come back and negotiate. What do you first characterize where this fits in the history of this country?
Well, look, we have never seen the level of hostility between a Speaker of the House and a president that we have with Nancy Pelosi and President Trump. I mean, Nancy Pelosi has gone out of her way to prove that she is his mortal enemy, that if she can destroy his presidency, she will, that she will not. When he said to you the other day, if I give you everything you want, would you at least agree over the next 30 days that we could solve the wall on the southern border? And she said no. So she's saying, you can give me everything I want. I'm still not giving you anything. Now, Then she decides on her own, and by the way, I dare her to put this up to a vote of the House because I think her own party will repudiate her. But she decides she's going to postpone the State of the Union, which she thinks shows she's tough. So the president comes back and says, "You want tough? I'll give you tough. You're not going to go. You're not flying a military airplane."
Right.
Now, I also think he had a good point. Why is she leaving the U.S. for 7 days while federal employees are not being paid? Why is she not sitting in Washington getting her job done, finding a compromise? And I thought from the president's side, it was a home run for him to do the way he did, and send her the note that said, of course you can go commercial, but frankly, you ought to stay here and negotiate.
Right. Do you think he was doing that out of retaliation, or do you think he canceled, his trip to Davos, or his administration's trip to Davos? He canceled.
Oh, come on.
So is it retaliation, or is it a little bit of both?
I've written 2 books about Trump, and I've known him a long time and watched him carefully. I don't know anybody who is more predictable at counterpunching. You hit Donald Trump, he picks up a large log, slams you across the head, and says, "See, you made me irritated." And I think she punched him, and he was looking for an opportunity to punch her back. And I think, from everything, in fact, I was watching your show earlier today, where you had a woman on who was saying, I was so proud of him for canceling her plane.
Right.
I mean, she handed him a huge softball and said, please knock it out of the park.
Newt, when you were Speaker, would you have ever suggested to Bill Clinton, hey, don't do that, let's postpone the State of the Union because this just isn't going right, the government shut down, can't protect you?
Look, even in the worst periods, which included, obviously, the whole impeachment process, he and I could always talk. I mean, partly, I think, we're both sort of graduate students. We like policy, we like ideas, we babble. We babbled with each other. So even when we were fighting, we were talking. Nancy Pelosi is not like that. Nancy Pelosi is a very tough machine politician. She has no interest in having a friendly conversation with Donald Trump. And Trump's a guy he's very happy to talk to you. But you want to pick a fight with him? I mean, I guarantee you he's going to spend part of every day from here on out finding a way to cause her pain.
She's an operator. She's not a deep thinker.
Well, but she's a people shouldn't underestimate her. She is a very effective, very tough operator, and the president is going to have to break her power in order to win.
Let's see what happens. We're in a standoff.
Newt Gingrich, thank you so much. Have a good weekend.
Take care.